test.
Morning, Trainiacs. What we went through over the last 2 days. That was brutal. You're just laughing away up there, eh? That was a barf bucket yesterday.
Last week I spent 2 days being a guinea pig in Kelowna, Canada.
Good job, Taren. You're doing great, man.
To get to Kona, I have to dial in my training. Easy efforts need to be fast enough to get faster, but easy enough to stay in my exact zone 2, and hard efforts need to be hard enough to make gains.
Keep it turning. Come on.
So I headed to the University of British Columbia Okanagan campus to Jonathan Little's lab. It was a nice break from the frozen tundra in Winnipeg, which started storming just as I left. And Kelowna's pretty nice. It's really what people think about when they say, "Oh, Canada's so nice. I want to go there." They're not thinking about Winnipeg. My coach, Dr. Dan Plews, prescribed the test, and his colleague and our team Trainiac consultant, Paul Larson, came to supervise the test because he lives just up the road in Revelstoke. They were going to be challenging, to say the least.
So we're going to do a Vo2 Max test, which we're going to couple with a Fat Max test and lactate threshold test all in one. And what's going to happen, Taren's going to be on the bike. He's going to start off easy, and then every 3 minutes we're going to make it harder and harder for him. We're going to start off at 120 watts. We're going to step up by 30 watts every 3 minutes until he can't go anymore, and we're going to be cheering him on. While he's doing that, he's going to be breathing in through a mask. He's breathing just the room air, but we're collecting what he's breathing off. And we can, with that, measure his oxygen uptake, so that was what we get his Vo2 max. We also measure the CO2, or the carbon dioxide he produces. And with the VO2 and the VCO2, we can put those together and calculate how much carbohydrate and how much fat he's burning during exercise. So as it gets harder and harder, Taren's going to have to kind of start switching over and use more and more carbohydrates. But we know that for endurance athletes, the better you're able to burn fat, the more likely you're going to be able to do good in a race like the Ironman. So by seeing how long or what his maximal fat oxidation is, we'll get probably a good idea of his ability as an endurance athlete.
Let's go.
The first day was the bike Vo2 Max and fat oxidation test, which went well and ended me almost puking into the air tube, which the crew seemed to think was pretty funny.
Good job, Taren. Hold on, baby. Get a bucket. Got the garbage somewhere?
Notice how the guy in the lab coat backed away from the blast zone, and it took the guy in the suit to get a bucket?
Great job. All right, guys.
That's the Instagram post for today.
Later that day, I wanted to know exactly why I was putting myself through this torture, so Paul Larson and I did our first ever Coach's Corner segment for the Triathlon Training podcast.
Well, we went a little bit deeper into the testing today, right? And I like to almost kind of start with this old adage, you can't manage what you can't measure, right? So we're really trying to measure as deep as we can with some of these tests, and that's what we did today. Is we got into the laboratory and we got some markers and measures of things that are important.
Okay. For example, what kind of measures?
Well, again, I forget the name of the study, and apologies for the authors, or missing the author's name, but we were speaking before about this study, 61 Ironman triathletes. They measured things that might relate to performance, and a couple of the key ones were the individual's Vo2 max, maximal oxygen uptake, their fat max, or the amount of fat oxidation, the amount that the fat contributed to their exercise. And yeah, these are some of the things we measured today in your Vo2 max, your fat max.
Check out our full podcast on why triathletes should even consider testing. It'll be out in the coming weeks, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And I really liked it. It was a good chat. Next day was more of the same, but this time on the treadmill. Get maxed out, try not to fall off the treadmill, get poked with a lancet, and give enough blood to fill a Dixie cup.
Down. Feel slow. Oh, heart rate.
And if all that wasn't enough to bruise my ego, UBC was generous to let me do a DEXA scan, which is the most accurate possible way to measure body fat.
We can look at the location of where that fat is, so we can see if it's centrally located, if it's in your arms, your legs. And this is really the most accurate, gold standard approach to measuring body composition that we can use today. So it's a quick test actually. You get to lay on the bed. This arm kind of moves around you and the bed moves forward and backwards. Be the easiest test that you've done this week. You just get to lay there.
I don't see a puke bucket in this room.
No, this is the comfortable room.
And given my off-season pear shape, I wasn't too excited to hear the numbers of that.
So brace yourself for a whole bunch of stats and tables. So
Off-season stats?
Not your first DEXA before, but if you weren't lying, your bone mineral density is basically off the charts. So what we have, you can get the density of the bones in each compartment of your body. This 1.445 is your total whole body density. This is the average as you age, so age 20 to age 85. The average line is right in the middle, and you're way outside that chart. So that basically means you've got 121% of the bone mass that we'd expect for someone your age, which is awesome. Yeah. Average percent fat for your age, based on this database, is about 22%. Again, you're quite a bit below that, 12.6%. So the electrical impedance did overestimate by about 4% on this one. And then you can actually get the breakdown within arms, legs, trunks, so you can look for similarities or dissimilarities.
Although I was thankful that they gave me the opportunity. After looking at the results from the 2 days of testing, everything is looking really good. Fat burning is way up from before the 2019 season. Top end numbers are a little higher, so I'm a little bit faster even though I'm just barely starting the season. And body fat, surprisingly, is actually in a really good spot. More on that in another video, because I've got to dig into those results. All in all, I'm in a really good spot to start my assault on trying to qualify for Kona. But now that these fun and games are over, it's time to get to work. Thanks to UBC Okanagan, Paul Larson, Jonathan Little, and his entire staff for everything this past week. It was fun in a very sick and twisted kind of way.
Come on, Taren.
Sit, working, keep working.
And if you all want to follow along to see how I use testing like this in my training, make sure to hit the subscribe button below.
Nice job, buddy.
Later, Trainiacs.